Morning, church.
Morning.
I want to remind you, in 2 weeks, on the 21st, we'll be taking up our annual Orphans Sunday contribution. This is a tremendous work, and you've supported it wonderfully over the last few years. As you know, there are literally millions of children who are truly orphaned. They have no mama and no daddy. They are bereft and they're left on the street. They will die unless someone takes them in and cares for them. Orphans Lifeline International cares for hundreds and hundreds of children all over the world who find themselves in that situation. And we have an opportunity each year to give and to support that wonderful work. And again, you've been just amazing in your support of that effort. In 2 weeks, on the 21st, we'll be taking up that contribution. So please keep that in mind. Most of you are going to recognize that quote, right? I can't get no satisfaction. There is Mick Jagger's famous double negative from, it's amazing, 50 years ago. 50 years ago. And yet that song rings today in the minds of many. One of the most popular songs Rolling Stones ever put out was I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Satisfaction is a moving target. It's a fleeting thing. There's a word in the Greek, interestingly, it's used by Jesus, for instance, in the Sermon on the Mount, in the Beatitudes, when he will say, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be," a lot of times it's translated filled, but the word there literally in the Greek is a verb kortazo, which means to be filled to the point of full and complete satisfaction. They will be satisfied. We get up from the table at Thanksgiving or Christmas, and generally we are past kortazo, aren't we? We are more than satisfied. But again, by supper, are you ready to eat again after Thanksgiving dinner? Yeah, we are. It's a moving target, that satisfaction is. On Wednesday nights, I just completed a series on how God makes sense out of life. How there are so many things that are nonsense unless you look at them through the lens of God. And one of those things we talked about was satisfaction. After I presented that lesson, I had several folks come up to me, including a couple of elders, and say, "Would you please share this on Sunday morning?" And so this is a truncated version of what I presented on that Wednesday night, because it is an incredibly, incredibly important subject. Let's start off by asking the question, what is it that produces satisfaction? You go back into the book of Ecclesiastes, and it's fascinating to look at Solomon trying to find what satisfies. What is going to make me happy, joyous, whatever, over a long period of time? What is it, as some would say, that's going to punch my ticket? Solomon will spend a huge amount of time and a tremendous amount of money trying to answer that question. What is it that I'm going to find that's going to make me go, here's the answer. Here it is. This is what satisfies me. In Ecclesiastes chapter 2, you can look at some of the things that he outlines that he tries in order to find satisfaction, from wine to accumulating things to women. And at the conclusion of it, what's he say? All is vanity and a striving after wind. I didn't find that any of these things satisfied me. You go to the culture today, and our media is convinced that satisfaction is all about money. If you just have enough money, you're going to be satisfied. Look at all the space that is devoted in time and in print to talking about the super wealthy. What is fascinating is that when you look at their lives, these are not happy people. These are not satisfied people. These are people that move from relationship to relationship to relationship. These are people who are buying different things all the time. These are people that are never settled in their lives. And yet somehow there's this idea that, oh, if you just get enough money, you'll be satisfied. Other people devote their lives to becoming number one or winning that Oscar or winning that Pulitzer Prize. If I can get that little statue in my grasp, if I can be number one, if I can write that article that will give me that prize for journalism, that will punch my ticket. That'll be it. But it doesn't work that way. I was reading about an interview with Boris Becker, one of the all-time tennis greats. And Becker, reminiscing on his life, says, in the midst of my winning, and now I quote, I was rich, but I had no inner peace. Wasn't satisfied. I am fascinated by the number of folks, for instance, in golf, who reach number one. They spend their whole lives trying to be the best player in the world. They're number one. And few of them can hang on to it for more than a few weeks. And they fall out of the top. Why? I was listening to an interview with one lady golfer in the LPGA who reached number one. And she said, when I reached number one, I thought, wow, I'm here. And then she said, and my next thought was terror. How am I going to stay here? And the pressure that she put on herself promptly knocked her out of the number one position because she quit playing the kind of golf that she had before. We think, boy, if I could just get here, if I could just get this, if I could just get that, I'll find satisfaction. And so often that's just not the case. Oops, let me go back here. Didn't want to go, and then I finally did. Hollywood has spent years trying to convince us that satisfaction is rooted in finding him or finding her. How many movies end with, here they are standing in front of the sunset, and they gaze into each other's eyes, and there's a kiss, and they live happily ever after. Or at least until that frame ends in the film. Right? And it's all about, man, if you can just find him. If you can just find her, you're going to find satisfaction in life. And that idea is pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And I want to argue that it's not valid. And I'm not knocking marriage, and I'm not knocking relationship at all. I'm going to tell you why here in a little while. But it's a myth that a lot of people have bought into and had their hearts broken and broken the hearts of others in the process. Finding satisfaction, true satisfaction in life is a challenging thing. As I said, it's a moving target. I already mentioned Jagger bemoaning, I can't get no satisfaction, which here's this guy that most considered, man, if anybody's on top of everything, it's got to be Jagger. He's got all the money in the world, lives this wild lifestyle, can buy anything he wants, go anywhere he wants, constant notoriety, constant notice. And the guy says, but I'm not satisfied. I can't get no satisfaction. I don't know how much you've read into other world religions. I think it's healthy to do so just to see what they believe and compare it to what we believe. I'm fascinated. Buddhism says you don't even bother to seek satisfaction. Don't look for it because it's not there. You are never, ever going to be satisfied in life. The most important thing you can do in life is to train yourself not to care. That's where you need to get to, where you don't care about anybody or anything. That is where you will find a true kind, not satisfaction, but a kind of peace. It comes literally in ridding yourself of caring about anybody or anything, becoming empty in a very real sense. Too many today have decided to substitute numbness for satisfaction. They can't find it. They're frustrated. They're angry. They're hurt. And so they're opening up a bottle, or they're picking up a needle. They're taking a pill. And they're looking to that. Not to bring satisfaction, because it's not going to bring satisfaction. But at least it's going to numb the fact that they're not satisfied. And it's heartbreaking to see how many lives are being destroyed by seeking that numbness in light of the frustration of not finding satisfaction. In the search for it, okay, I'm calling it satisfaction, but in the search for finding that ticket that you punch that says, yeah, I've made it, I'm here, I've got it. In the search for it, it's fascinating to me what we see in different stages of life and in different individuals. We see the young who are too busy running as hard as they can to realize they can't get there. Now, we will. I was young one time. We're young. And we run 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 because we're going to get there. We're going to find the answer. We're going to get satisfied. And then one day you wake up and you realize, you know what, I've been running and running and running, and I'm still not there, and I'm probably never going to get there. That finish line keeps moving, it keeps shifting. I can't seem to find it. But boy, we're running hard in the meantime. We find, unfortunately, heartbreakingly, the resentful. I think we find our country increasingly filled with bitter people who feel cheated because the system or this or that or whatever it might be that they can come with has cheated them and kept them from finding satisfaction. And they're angry and bitter over that, resentful that life has failed to deliver like they wanted it to. We find also the driven, people convinced, I'm almost there if I just work a little. I know I'm working 60 hours a week. I need to work 70 hours a week. If I just work 10 more hours, I'm going to get there. I'll be satisfied. And they just keep putting the pedal to the metal and keep pushing. And even though the engine's smoking and the transmission's slipping and things aren't going well, if I just keep pushing, I'll find that satisfaction. I'll get there. I'm just not quite working hard enough yet. And then, unfortunately, there are also the despairing. Those who have tried and tried and tried, they've just given up. They've just given up. And they see themselves as failures. I gave it a shot. I tried. It just didn't work. Now, are people looking in all the wrong places to find satisfaction? I absolutely believe they are. I do. The only place we're going to find true satisfaction is when we look to the Lord. And we look to His Word. And we let Him guide us and show us the way to true satisfaction. And notice these 4 passages with me. And there's so many others I could cite, but just listen to the wisdom that's found here and the direction in which it points us. But seek first the kingdom of God, Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount, and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Get your priorities right. Put the Lord in first place and seek Him. And see what a difference that makes long term in everything. And we're going to expand on this thought a little bit, but just listen to what Jesus says. You're looking in all the wrong places. If you're looking for stuff to satisfy you, if you're looking for relationships to satisfy, whatever you're looking for, you're not going to find it because you're not looking in the right place. You're not looking to Him first and getting your priorities right. Paul, Philippians chapter 4, verse 11, writing from prison, I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. What's he saying? He's saying, I got the answer for satisfaction. And the answer for satisfaction is obviously not in power. It's not in influence. It's not in money. It's not in having a beautiful home on a lake. It's none of that stuff, because where's he writing this from? A prison cell with nothing. With nothing. And he says, I'm content. I'm content. I'm satisfied. Why? Because he found that which brings true, ultimate satisfaction. Whoops. Let me go back here again. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. The writer of Hebrews, let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Looking where? To Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith. Where do you fix your eyes? You fix your eyes on Him. Because any other target that you fix your eyes on, brothers and sisters, is going to let you down. I don't care what it is, because it's going to be temporary and it's never going to hold. I don't care if it's a person or a thing. Everything here is temporary. There's not a thing here that's going to last. Okay? That's the nature of this life. That's the way it is. Fix your eyes on Jesus. And Paul, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. I want you to think about this old man writing his last letter. Listen to him. And again, he's in prison. I have fought a good fight. I've finished the course. I've kept the faith. Henceforth there's laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give to me in that day, and not to me only, but to all those who love His appearing. There are a ton of people at that time who would have looked at old Paul and said, he is anything but a success. There's no reason in the world for that man to be satisfied. He's sitting in a prison cell, fixing to be executed. And what's he say? He says, I look back at my life and I'm satisfied. I fought a good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith. How many people can say that at the end of their lives? Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. Jesus' words, what? It is finished. Okay? I've done what I need to do. Augustine, one of the early church fathers, argued something that I think we really need to hear and pay attention to, because I think it's a key to what we're talking about. He argued that our lack of satisfaction comes from having our loves, not lives, our loves, what he called out of order. Okay? And I think he's dead on in that analysis. And so many of our lives, our loves, are out of order. Now, what does he mean by that? What are we talking about? Do we love less important things more and more important things less? And I want you to think about that in your own life and the frustration that comes with that. But we get our loves out of order. And we start loving less important things more and more important things less. Do you love work more than family? A lot of people looking for satisfaction have decided, in reality, when you look at it, that they love work more than family, and they pay a horrific price for it, don't they? Because they get their loves out of order. In time they should be spending with their spouse, time they should be spending with their children, instead they're spending on being a quote-unquote success, on reaching some pinnacle, reaching some goal that they've set for themselves. And it's like that song, Cats in the Cradle, by Harry Chapin. They wake up one day and they go, man, I've got all this stuff, but I don't have my family. Can you love less important things more and more important things less? Yeah, you sure can. How about those who've decided that they love money more than they love honesty? Yeah, if I have to lie to get it, I'll lie to get it. If I have to cheat to get it, I'll cheat to get it. If I have to cut some corners in order to get there ethically, that's what I'm going to do. And they love money more than they love honesty. And you can go on with this, but I really think that we honestly need to evaluate, we honestly need to ask ourselves, because if you're frustrated and you're not satisfied, why? Maybe it's because you're loving the wrong stuff more than you should, and loving the right stuff less than what you should. When you get your loves out of order, inevitably, satisfaction is going to be sacrificed. Could the answer really be this simple? And what's that? I really believe if you love God more, you'll love other things with more satisfaction, not less satisfaction. Loving God gets everything in order. It gives everything, it really does, it gives everything the proper priority. And in the process of that, when God is a source of your satisfaction, it takes the pressure off relationships. I mentioned this earlier. So many people, I've just got to find the right him, man. If I can just find the right him, I'll be happy. If I can just find the right her, I'll be happy. That's what I'm looking for. That magic person is out there. Listen. Solomon ran through close to 1,000 women looking for the perfect woman. Never found her. You know why? Because she doesn't exist. Just like the perfect man doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. I'll guarantee you, he kept thinking, number 433, here's the one. Nope. 674, she's got to be it. No. Because he's looking in the wrong places, brethren. He's asking for something that we can't deliver. I can't deliver to Carol satisfaction. Because she knows I am far from perfect. And there's no way, if she's looking to me to fill the hole in her life, that I'm going to be able to do that. But it's going to put incredible pressure on me to do that if she decides that I'm the one that has to fill that hole. And if you're taking your wife and you're looking to your wife to fulfill you and to satisfy you and to be the answer to your life, you're putting an incredible pressure on her that she'll never be able to fulfill and no relationship can withstand. I can't tell you how many times I've heard through the years, well, he just doesn't make me happy anymore. I just don't, she's just not what I thought she was going to be. Welcome to the real world, folks. Where we can't fill that hole that's in all of our lives. We can't be that answer. We can't be it. Okay? Only God can do that. Only Jesus can do that. But if Jesus fills that hole in my life, if God is the answer, if my love centers first around Him, it takes the pressure off me loving her. And it takes the pressure off her loving me. Because you see, now that hole is filled. She doesn't have to do it. I don't have to do it. God is taking care of that. And that's where true satisfaction is found. And I believe true happiness in relationships is found. And it's never going to be found anywhere else. It takes the pressure off performance. How many of us have to be perfect? How many of us have got to win, or we feel like we're less than what we ought to be, that we're failures? How many of us got to be number one? Man, number two, that just ain't good enough. Huh? We beat ourselves up all the time because, man, you know, I didn't make it here and I didn't make it there and I didn't make it here. If God loves me and God accepts me and I'm His child and He is satisfied with me, then it's okay. It's okay if I ain't number one in anything, or number two, or number 22. It doesn't make any difference. It's okay. Because I'm number one with Him, and that's what matters. And that's what counts. And I don't have to constantly prove myself to Him. I don't have to constantly prove myself to myself. I don't have to constantly prove myself to others. Because you see, I'm complete in Him. In Him. And I'll never be complete any other way anyway. It's in Him that we rest. It's in Him that we find completeness. It's in Him that we find satisfaction. If you put yourself on the treadmill of performance, you'll never get off of it. And you'll never be satisfied. Because like I said, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care how much you win. I don't care how successful you are. You'll never win enough and you'll never be successful enough. Ever. That's the way it is. That's the way life is. If you put it in terms of performance as a husband or a wife, I don't care how good a husband you are. I don't care how good a wife you are. You're never going to be good enough. Not in your own eyes. Because we all know our weaknesses and we all know our foibles. The fact of the matter is that if we live on the basis and find satisfaction on the basis of our performance, we're never, ever going to be satisfied. Satisfaction comes in a life that loves God first. In fact, I would argue that satisfaction in life becomes a serendipity of loving God first. I found it a whole lot easier to just love everybody and love life if I love God first. Because that takes the pressure off everything else. Okay? And you can just enjoy it for what it is because your satisfaction is found in God. And that's where it needs to be. And your rest is found in Him. And so, in this life, don't let the world twist you up in knots and get you all confused about what's going to punch your ticket. Because I guarantee you, it's not going to be the stuff they're laying out there. It's not. That's just going to lead to frustration. Your satisfaction is going to be found first in Him. And when you find your satisfaction in Him, again, it's amazing how everything else just falls into place. Why? Because you've got your loves in order. And this morning, if you're ready to love Him first, and put Him first in your life, and honor Him as you become His child, as you're baptized into Christ. If your loves are out of order, and you need help with that, if there's any way that we can be made to you, won't you come while we stand and while we sing?
Turn my heart, O Lord, like rivers of water. Turn my heart, O Lord, by your hand, till my whole life flows in the river of your Spirit, and my name brings honor to the Lamb. Turn my heart, O Lord, like rivers of water. Turn my heart, O Lord, by your hand, till my whole life flows in the river of your Spirit, and my name brings honor to the Lamb. Lord, I surrender to your work in me. I rest my life within your loving hand. heart, oh Lord, by your hand, until my whole life flows in the river of your Spirit, and my name brings honor to the land, and my name brings honor to the land. Be seated, please.